I am so delighted to be joined today by Willard and Kay Jenkins. And on behalf of the Andrew County Foundation, I'm very thankful to have had the foundation, the fund for Andrew County, actually introduce myself to these two who reached out and were interested in learning more about what we were doing in Andrew County and particularly to use resources for its future. And so that brought us together this fall and was able to learn about Willard and Kay and learn about their Andrew County heritage as well. So asked them if it'd be okay to sit and record a few of the answers to the questions that I've been able to learn from them, but am eager to learn more and then share that with so many others who not only care about this community in Andrew County, but also all the time are asking what really satisfies us as we live out our days and try to make good use of our resources. And so I'm really excited to dig in with them. So Willard and Kay, thank you for coming here to Savannah. Where do you call home, and how did you ever get there after starting both your lives here in Andrew County? So give us a little background, if you would.
Right now, we live in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Some of the people may know it because that's the home of the University of Northern Iowa, and in athletics, they play some of the Missouri teams. Most of many years, 47 to be exact, we lived in Waterloo, Iowa, which is the sister city. But when we sold our home there, we moved to a retirement community, which was just 5 miles away, but located in Cedar Falls. The reason we got to Waterloo Cedar Falls to begin with was John Deere. I graduated from Missouri University of Science and Technology at Rolla. And actually, I'd worked the summer before for John Deere, but started my career with them in the Quad Cities, Moline, Illinois. And then we were there for about 10 years and moved to Germany, where I was with them for 3 years, and back to the Quad Cities, and then moved to Waterloo. And I thought we'd probably move again, but that didn't happen. Interestingly, I retired when I was fairly young from John Deere. And a couple of years later, at a wedding in Missouri, our state senator said, "What are you going to do now that you're retired?" And the next thing I knew, I was in the Iowa legislature for 10 years. And that's been an ongoing thing as we retired. It's time for Kay to talk a little bit.
Yeah, Kay, tell us a little about your background.
Well, it's kind of interesting because we met in the second grade in Rosendale. So we've known each other for many, many years. I went to college at Central Methodist College, Fayette, Missouri, which was a great experience for me. And then we have 4 children. When the children were 5 and 10, we moved to Germany with John Deere and lived there for 3 years. So learning the language and the culture was a great experience for our family.
In addition to that, you two have continued to travel, and you've been almost everywhere in the world, essentially. Is that right?
We have been on every continent. Antarctica was about 7 years ago. That was a premier experience for us. But on every other continent, I've been on it multiple times. I was in China first time with John Deere in 1977.
And so, in all of that experience, from the relationship with each other and growing a family and relationship with work and a lot of places you put your energy, you still remember your earliest core memories here in Andrew County. So could you take us back to even what you remember about your childhood and growing up here? And then even before and getting to second grade and meeting each other, I would like that to be where you end up. But yeah, what do you remember about those childhood days in Andrew County? Where were you at and what were you up to?
I grew up on a farm. But folks had moved a little bit, but what I really remember was a farm east of Rosendale, about 3 miles, south of Ray, a couple of miles. And that's the farm home to me. That really wasn't the Jenkins family farm. It was my mother's side, and my mother was a Lanning. And there are still, her sister had Billy Elliott, who is well known in the community. And so he's a cousin of mine and lives very close to where I grew up. So I remember a lot of things all the way from Dad picking corn by hand and buying the first corn picker with two other neighbors and all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. That's great. How about you, Kay?
I remember playing volleyball over the clothesline and handy over the granary. Great family life. My maiden name is Fothergill, and our farm is a century farm, designated several years ago, and my sisters still live here, so it's fun to come back. But I think the greatest part of mine was our basketball years in high school. So I know there are many young women out there that we played on the court, and we had great times. I remember the ball code, the Fillmore, and the Savannah teams, and all over this part of Northwest Missouri. So basketball was a big part of.
Kay and I were reminiscing because my great aunt Carol now lives in Peachtree City, Georgia, but was a competitor against Kay. It's like what I wouldn't give to see some video footage of those matchups. And probably, if I know my Aunt Carol, she probably stuck an elbow in you a couple times.
She was good. I admit it. She was.
Oh, that's so fun. And then elementary school, you two got to know each other and then spent all of your years educated here in Andrew County before you graduated from high school. Is that right?
That's right.
That's right. We graduated from Rosendale, which is now North Andrew.
Yeah.
It was just straight Rosendale when we were there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in school, started in the early 90s, went to elementary school in Balco before the flood of 93, and they got the new school on the highway built. Have you ever had a chance to visit that new school that's now 30 plus years old?
Yeah,
on the
we
highway?
have. Yes.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, to see how things change
Yeah.
in Andrew County over your years.
Sure.
Could you tell us what or how your view of Andrew County and your childhood has changed at all, if at all, since you've experienced so much, both living in Iowa, but then traveling and working internationally even? Has your view of Andrew County and in the Midwest in the United States, has that changed at all after all you've experienced in your lifetimes?
It was a good place to grow up. I guess I hadn't realized during the, we all knew that Missouri became a state in 1821, but I guess I hadn't realized the whole story of the Platte Purchase and all of that and how that related to Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa being formed and what went with what state and the Jesse James era. I hadn't quite put that all together back in those years.
I'm impressed when we read the Savannah Reporter, how young the groups are now that are working here in Andrew County. I compliment Andrew County for having that energy and young people who are involved.
Right. I really appreciate that. Although I know I'm not as young as I used to be, but I also know, hey, I've got a lot of years I hope or I believe in front of me. It's like, let's do the best we can with where we're at. And it seems like you two have certainly done that in Iowa. If you look up, Willard and Kay, you'd see that they've really made their mark wherever they've been, whether it was at John Deere, at home in Waterloo, and now your children spread across the country continue to produce children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and how exciting and thrilling is that? So you had things that took you away from the community, good things, and yet you've always remembered Andrew County as a home, a part of your story. Why not just move on and focus on the places you've gone to instead of having a piece of you that still thinks about this place and wants to give to it?
Part of it is a thank you. Thank you for what we think was a good start, a good place to be, and we want to see that continue. A story that kind of fits with some of this. When I went first to the legislature, I got a big letter from one of the really high executives in John Deere. I think he was the senior vice president next to the top guy. And the letter went something like, Willard, congratulations for being elected to the Iowa legislature. You're going to be pounded by a lot of people about tax reduction and all those kinds of things, probably including our lobbyists. And you've got to listen to them. You've got to be courteous. But as the world changes, there are going to be people coming here for jobs. They're going to bring spouses. They're going to bring families. What are their spouses and families they're going to want? They're going to want schools. They're wanting things to do. They're going to want transportation to go see where they came from. Your real job is community development. And that's what I see here.
Okay, how about you? Why give a piece of your heart or keep a piece of your heart and energy here at Andrew County?
I think it's honoring our parents and our family and what they gave us.
And your family legacy, like you said, you still have sisters here who've
Right.
raised families, have grandkids here as well.
And we have several nieces and nephews that live here, and they're active in the community. We're
Yeah.
very proud of them.
When I became a father and now have 3 others besides my wife and I that call Andrew County home for now, and that's okay if it's not forever. But I realized while it was such a joy to become a father and hopefully someday grandfather, I also realize now a part of my heart exists outside of me, and I may move on or I may be gone, but what happens to them and their future, and I know they'll have kids they love, Lord willing, all of a sudden my heart has expanded. It could get hurt in a lot of ways, but it also now it cares for a lot of people in a lot of different places. And so when you talk about, and you light up when you talk about your family, and it's like, okay, yeah, because pieces of our hearts are now spread across the country, and including here in Andrew County. And it sounds like that won't change for any of the 3 of us. There'll be a piece of us here. When you consider the fact that news media or even just friends and neighbors sometimes get so discouraged about where the globe is going, where the United States is going, or even like here in the Midwest, like how things are progressing with community development and a better home for our kids than maybe we enjoyed. A lot of people saying that's not going to happen. Best days are behind us. We're just going to fight to survive going forward. But I don't think you two see it that way. Why are you optimistic about life in general after all you two have experienced, and then particularly here in the Midwest or in Andrew County? Why have hope and continue to plant seeds for a future?
I think our country, it's going to continue to change. Gosh, it's changed a lot since it was started back in 1776, and that's going to continue. But are we going to go away? No. But we're going to come. It's going to become a more global world, and we're going to find, I think, our place in it. Are we going to be the only giant out there? No. Kay's got a good buddy from college years that was heavy duty in Washington, D.C., and he said, you can talk about the big 20, the big 8, all you want to. It's the big 2. It's us and China. That's where the people are.
Yeah.
And Xi Jinping, I've never met him personally. Our governor that I know fairly well was the ambassador to China. Xi Jinping spent a part of his education in Muscatine, Iowa.
Really?
Yes. So he speaks English. He knows our culture. And so I think the world is we're going to yell at each other like 2 basketball coaches. We're going to do that. But are we going to say we're going to destroy the game? No.
Willard, would you mind sharing the story when you were in the legislature about how a colleague of yours who was on the other side of the aisle saw things differently at times, but how often you also were in union?
His name is Bill Dotzler. He's moved from the Senate. He and I went into the Iowa House of Representatives the same time in 1996. We were both John Deere. I was management Republican. He was a UAW, John Deere, Union, Democrat. He was a little younger than I was. You would expect with union versus company, Democrat versus Republican, you would expect a lot of this. After 2 years, we compared our voting record. We voted 93% of the time together because we wanted community development.
Right.
When I figured out John Deere's going to have to grow, and where are we going to get these workers? It's going to be UAW. Well, why am I going to be mad at him? One example was we had a bill in the legislature that was very much management versus union, and he came over to me and he said, Willard, he says, the media's here. We're going to have to vote against each other, and we're going to have to yell at each other. Okay, and we're going to do that. But when we're all done, we're going to meet and we're going to have a beer together, right?
Yeah.
And so we're still friends.
The sad part is the media published the yelling.
They probably, yeah.
They didn't publish the drink afterwards.
Or the 93% of the time.
Or the 93%.
So behind the scenes, things are working.
Yeah.
It is my idea.
So, Kay, could you expand on why you would find it worthwhile to keep planting seeds for future leaders, future projects in the midst of some of that bad news being thrown at us?
Sure, to keep a positive attitude and just look over history where things were bad and they always turned out. Our country is great.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be very, very proud of United States of America.
Right. Absolutely. We had been speaking earlier of how even in Andrew County, you go back to just 150, 160 years ago into Civil War, and how now we think, oh, the country's very divided. It's like, well, it's been more divided.
Oh,
And even
sure.
in Andrew County, if you go to the museum, you see some of the crazy stories between Confederates and Union sympathizers that happened just outside on the streets. And you're like, wow, I'm thankful we're not there. And it's not to say we won't see incredible things happen, but to ultimately say this very community made it through that difficult times. Why couldn't the humans figure out a way to make it through the next difficult time? And I appreciate that seems to be one of your core family values of like, hey, let's look for solutions.
Yeah.
And I believe they will find solutions. Your groups here are doing that.
Yeah. Well, talking to you two, I'm encouraged. Like, all right, there's been some hard days, when you're not feeling like you're moving towards solutions, but just keep going. Why
sure.
stop? So in your time together, I'm sure you've seen a lot of good things happen. You've probably seen things happen like, well, that did not go as we planned or hoped it would. But you've always just gone back and got back to work, whether it's raising families in industry, in charitable pursuits. So what do you think drove you two personally just to keep coming back and saying, well, let's find a solution. Let's find a way to just get to tomorrow and keep making things better. Why did you not get discouraged in 80 plus years of life and 67 years of marriage, which I know probably went so easy for the both of you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting on airplanes going somewhere, and she was taking care of four kids.
Man, yeah, you can imagine how that manifested itself in the personal conversations at home. Yeah, so how were you able to stay optimistic through
First
a
off,
life?
we both grew up in families that had heavy community involvement. Our dads were church board members, school board members, all those they did all those kinds of things. So we grew up with, both of us, with the background that you need to be involved in the community and you need to help development of it. I come back to 2 football or 2 basketball coaches. We're going to have this, but do they want to destroy the game?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
And we need to keep our eye on that. If you really get down, you need to take a trip to Illinois and go through the Abraham Lincoln stuff. Oh my gosh. We are not even close to the division in our country
Yeah.
that was. Lincoln won by what, 41% of the vote when he ran for president? Our country's been through these really bad, divisive times before, and we've lived, and we're going to do that again, I think.
I'll put it to you again, through 67 years of marriage with a husband who was on a plane so often, through a husband who was a politician, and you were right by his side, right as his clerk, essentially.
Yes, I was.
How were you able to stay optimistic through all the challenges that life would have provided you?
I saw good things happening, and leaders who were compassionate, and people are great. We learn from everyone we meet. I just think through history, our country couldn't be like we are now because we are a great country. If you think on the bad parts will happen.
Yeah.
A story that I think is appropriate here. We spent 47 years in Waterloo, Iowa. It's the most diverse city in Iowa. It's a heavy black population, mainly coming from the packing houses, and they came from Mississippi up to provide the labor force for packing. And so the communities lived that. A governor, Bob Ray, about 25, 30 years ago, got involved in the Yugoslavian thing, and we had a lot of Bosnians that came, and they came to other states too. Guess which one? Their families started talking. We got the second wave because we knew how to handle diverse opinions and diversity of backgrounds. And so we had the second wave, but found other communities that they didn't know how to do it, and we did.
It was Vietnamese first,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then Bosnia.
In the Bosnian, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So even more diversity than he
Even more
originally
diversity,
said.
yeah,
It was.
yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I would love for you to, for someone who will watch this in the future, what encouragement would you give to someone in your season of life that perhaps they've left Andrew County but have roots here? Maybe they're still in Andrew County. How would you encourage them to think about this community and how they continue to just see their resources, time, energy, money, produce fruit, even though they may be closer to the end of their life than the beginning?
In our case, I think our donation here was a combination. It was a combination of thank you for the past and what they did for us, and then it was also a pledge for the future that we want to see you continue.
Good. I appreciate that.
I don't think I can add anything to that.
That's good. And then you have done this already, but what would you say to Andrew County citizens in general as an encouragement, both with a fund like the Andrew County Fund, which is seeking to provide capital for the future challenges and find unity in those challenges, but how would you encourage the future generations of leaders or families that may call this community home?
To continue to grow and survive and grow, you're going to have to continue to keep people here and to attract more people from other parts of the Midwest all the way to around the globe someplace. And that is going to be the business development. It's going to be the workers for some companies. It's going to be the startup of others. And you need to keep that going, and you need to develop a good place for them to live.
You're talking about a new swimming pool. You're talking about trails, things that keep family together and give them a life that they remember.
Yeah. Really good encouragement for me. I know sometimes I get discouraged by how quickly life's going by, which I'm sure you two would attest to as well. And you start, you plant a seed and you realize 20 years, wow, that's grown into something. It's providing shade, it's providing fruit, whatever. And then realizing how quickly 20 years pass, and then how quickly 60 or 80 years may pass. And I wonder, this is called as long-term thinking as we can get as humans, but it's all going by so quickly. But you both have seemed to enjoy your ride so thoroughly, which is a great encouragement to me, because we know there's plenty of times you're trying to communicate something. It's not really landing with those you're seeking to either join in or help. And yet the outcome isn't always the main part of the journey or the destination. It's been a lot of fun along the ride, including I had never gotten a chance to talk and meet with Willard and Kay before, but even this fund has provided a very inspiring morning for me to get to do this with you. So on behalf of Andrew County, thank you very much. And then on behalf of me and my family, also thank you. It's been truly good to get to spend this time and learn from you. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
It's been delightful.
Good. Good.